The realm of Lens Island is in turmoil. The void's ever-expanding influence has pushed humanity to the brink of extinction. I'm a random hero kind of fella from our time, and as such, it is my sacred duty to act as a bulwark to protect my brethren against this overwhelming threat. However, to complete 100% of Lens Island, I'll be doing anything else but that. While our world is crumbling all around me, I'll be casting a blind eye to it and fishing up a storm, as the last remnants of humanity band together to form tiny, desperate villages just struggling to survive. I'll be showing off needlessly by building the most magnificent mansion with the single most glorious farm to make any other survivors green with envy. But the final nail in the coffin is I'll be sure to abscond with the pets of these poor survivors to fulfill the role as my companions as I explore this wonderful world and pushing back the void at my own leisurely pace. Welcome to 100% of Lens Island, the movie. This story begins on a vessel on the open waters. Lucky Jack informs me that we will reach Bridgewater Island soon. Len responds saying, "Cheers mate," and that he can't stand around any longer and let this darkness take over, and he's ready to do something. Tell me, who the hell is Len? A few moments ago, I entered my name as Artemis 100, while obviously trying to make a representation of myself. Well, Len I am then. About that darkness, Jack says, have fun finding the origin of all evil, and apparently I'll be doing it all barefoot, as my fella has a particular disdain for shoes. Alright then. I get dropped off on a beach. The visuals in this game are really appealing to me. I have a to-do list. These blueberries are on that list, and a guy's gotta eat something, even if it's just berries. I enthusiastically slap this rock with my pickaxe. I have played a little bit before, so I am aware that if I time my clicks with that little flash thing, I'll execute magnificent criticals for some extra damage. Goodness me, that is a hell of a strong rock. Yep, resource gathering is a little slow in the early game, but oh so rewarding. This same critical damage rule applies to felling trees as well, and both these resources will be utilized in making my first home. Among my first goals in this game, one of them is to make a whole damn house. But I won't be alone on this island. You know, I like how I've just landed here, and there's people here, they don't know me, but here I am just chopping down their trees and terraforming their island already. A rude bastard indeed. But a quick instant replay there. Did you notice that when I chopped down that tree, it fell down on another tree, doing 200 damage and creating a domino effect? I love doing this. A short time later, my inventory is full of wood, but as you can see, I continue to gather some resources. A bit of fiber from the looks of it. This washed up crate that has some arrows and more of the aforementioned resource. I even strut over some glass which gets slapped into my inventory, and it's all followed with a good haul of clay. Now, how can this be? I said before that my inventory was full of wood, right? Well, I'll explain that shortly. For now, I go and meet some locals. Jared, the local blacksmith, who's been here for yonks and reminisces about the good old days when the void was still a real threat. Apparently they're more of a nuisance these days, according to this fella. He also shares some useful information for me, which is that if I cook rawhide over a campfire, I can turn it into leather. Okay, sounds reasonable. Stephanie is here, and she sells a bunch of roses of varying kinds, as well as a few farmer equipment pieces. She recommends I make myself a watering can before I try my hand at farming, which is some pretty solid advice. Touching on my inventory here, I want to take a moment to praise this game on its inventory management. See all these resources? I can gather up to 50 of each type. 50 wood, 50 stone, 50 fiber, and 50 of everything else. Meaning that is a huge amount of stuff and things I can have on my person at all times. There is more reasons, but I'll get to them over the course of the playthrough. For now, I examined the Bridgewater Town Board. I see that if I donate 45 of each resource down below, I'll get paid 40 gold coins, as well as unlocking a few new things for the town. I decide that this will be my first goal, and I gather up a storm. I see a little Christmas present here. So you are aware, I started this playthrough on December 15th, 2025. I have a quick squiz at my map. I've only been around a little bit, but it's starting to turn to night. It's best to turn in this quest before that. As you can see, the next level is revealed to me. 150 of these same resources will be required, and the town will repair their warp portal, allowing for teleportation, which sounds pretty good. What else sounds ideal is to quickly build a house before nightfall, the key word being quickly. A fun fact, I was not. It's nighttime and I have no house, and I'm running around with a torch. But not for much longer. I decide to place down my first foundations with a little staircase, so I have a small patio in mind, it seems. Actually, while I'm slapping down all these foundations, I also have to give this game praise for its building system. Although I'm building a dodgy little shack at this moment, I will make a magnificent abode later on, and I really enjoyed this aspect of the game. I'm gathering more resources for it later, and I encounter my first aggressive entities, void creatures or something, which would be a good place to backtrack about that darkness Jack and I were talking about on the boat. History tells stories of the Great Meteor, a bright light that pierced the sky and scattered fragments of glowing stone across the earth. Humans were drawn to the stone, they felt a power calling to them, and so began the Age of the Ancients. They worshipped the stone, rising from cave dwellers to creators of great power and technology. Then they vanished, a void in history. Humanity was reduced to scattered survivors hiding in the shadows. Lightstone faded from memory, and humanity rebuilt. Then one day, a lone miner searching for gold uncovered something far more valuable, and thus began a new age, the Lightstone Rush. People flocked to the mines, chasing Lightstone and the limitless power source. Lightstone took control of the world and the mind. Those who chased it became obsessed. The minds twisted, and over time, the bodies changed. Chaos erupted. Once human beings turned to dark creatures, consumed by power, controlled by the void. Society is in peril. Humanity clings to life, hiding in the corners of the void, but the darkness keeps creeping forward, consuming all in its path. It's pretty gnarly to think that this little void fella I'm slapping about was once a human turned monstrous. Okay? I also get void essence from this little fella, which becomes an important resource later. For now, I execute magnificent swan dives. I jump and then do a roll, which somehow propels me forward. I love doing this. I also love the fact that my first house is starting to take shape. I'm out for my morning jog, and I see that void creature up ahead disperses into nothing? It must have something to do with daylight. Even though the sun's risen, I still have my torch out. I think it was too much effort for me to put it away, or I forgot. But harvesting some pumpkins and their seeds is an effort I'm more than happy to exert. And the reason for this morning's exercise was to grab any glass I can on the beaches, as I needed them for my home windows. I'm destroying this crate, and I have reached level 1. This is the skill tree. There are 4 distinct paths I can follow. A combat on the bottom right, gathering in the opposite corner, exploration on the top right, and farming / self-healing opposite that. As I've played a little bit before, I have a path in mind, and I choose to expand my knowledge in the exploring section. This first one doubles the fish I can catch and my base damage by about 10%. Deeper into the skill, I can get a movement speed upgrade, and I like me some zoomies. Until then, I place some windows on my humble abode. It looks good. Lots of natural light will illuminate my place of residence, and I make myself a temporary staircase and a platform so that I can reach what's going to be my roof. I've played a fair few survival crafting games in my time, and for me, building a nice roof in this game was such a goddamn pleasure. I don't ever recall making something this good looking in Ark Survival Evolved, for example, and I make myself a little upstairs section here, and I put my bed near the window. I then chuck a campfire inside my house, which is what you should clearly do, as well as my workbench, which I then shifted under my second floor with a few storage boxes. I am peacefully chopping a tree shortly later when I get accosted by a swarm of bees, nasty little buggers, and I make use of my storage, slapping everything I currently have in here. In my workbench, I see the next backpack upgrade. It increases my inventory slots to 100, and I definitely want this. I don't have the 50 coins for it, so I guess I'll be following the quest marker. I need to enter the mines here in Bridgewater. The mines are cavernous, as far as the eye can see actually. There are broken bridges dotted around the chasms, and I can fix them. I look at my map, and I can see there are 3 different entry points leading underground thus far. What is my purpose here? To find mushrooms? To gather coal from this particular stone outcrop? Well, yes, I do need me some coal. I can use them to light these lanterns down here, and they do show me the way to this altar thing. I activate it because the prompt told me to, and then nothing happens after that. I was confused, but no matter, I found what I'm looking for, iron shards. I'll be needing these to make my anvil. Here is something I love about this game. I can simply make platforms between these 2 cave sections, and I jump on it to make my way across. I'm rewarded for my athleticism with more iron shards. I remembered something. The game started with saying that the people used to be underground or something, right? Yeah, it did say that. I wonder where all the structures are. I mean, I found a few bridges. I do find voidlings in this area, and I make sure to introduce myself with my sword. After which I spot a few large notes of something over there. Clearly not the metal I've been gathering. I spot another one, and I try to harvest it, but I'm disappointed to discover that my weapon tier is too low. Okay, fine then. I'll help myself to this chest down here, and a few coins on top, but I'm quickly put in my place because even this chest is too complicated for me apparently. I exit the mines from a different entrance, and I'm met with a voidling nest right next to me. I quickly dispose of this thing as it periodically spawns void monsters. There's a few nests here actually, and I give my combat prowess some much needed experience, but what's a battle-hardened warrior without the ability to read? Ancient tablet etched with the old world runic language. I like how they call it runic. 10 out of 10 unlocked. Alright, so now we got 1, which means there's going to be 10 of these bad boys. Okay, well, 1 down, 9 more to go. Also, quickly, while I'm looking at my map, I entered the mines on the right, close to my bed icon. The red arrow indicates where I am right now. You can travel to locations via underground passages. I'm level 2 now, and I grabbed the efficient roller, so I can dodge roll more often. And I'm also compelled to say this. The visuals in this game are really nice. I actually really like the visual style. It's very appealing. It's very easy on the eyes. Yep, absolutely beautiful art style. I'm on my way home and I see a lovely little pond over here, even with a fishing spot to boot. It might make for a nice base location later. Right now, I sell Stephanie here some roses I've absconded with in my misadventures. The flowers I can collect I sell for 1 gold, so it may seem like nothing, but coin is coin. I spend some of that straight away and I get myself a hunting bow. I'm back at my very empty house and I add an anvil here. This is a very nice little crafting nook. Speaking of which, I use some materials and a surplus of iron shards from down below to upgrade my crappy little sword into a better sword. Boom. That joyful little laugh was not for naught. My new blade, it grants me a special ability and I can do a sick backhand to slap the snot out of some voidlings at my next altercation. It could be soon. The next tutorial is unlocking the dungeon. It looks like I need to light an obelisk somewhere and activate keystones. Apparently I've already done that to the western one. It may have been that rock slab I found in the mines before by accident. Looking at my map, the dungeon is pulsating, so that's my next destination. However, that is not my next task. I go ahead and upgrade my tools first. That's the axe, and this is the pickaxe. Can you upgrade your bow? You can. Oh, look at that. Oh my god, that little laugh kinda sounded like Smeagol, who had just caught himself a rabbit. I can't unhear it. I hope you can't either. You're welcome. The axe and pickaxe now do more damage, so this upgrade has sped up my rate of resource collection. I then try my hand at archery for the first time. Oh, buddy. Shooting the deer gave me some confidence to pepper this voidling with arrows, but it's just not enough. I'm forced to switch to my sword and backhand the snot out of him. So this is how I see myself engaging enemies. I do a fake swipe which prompts a critical opportunity, which is used to execute a devastating snot clap upon my foes. If you time that perfectly well, you can do a quick, what do you call it, a fake. You fake them out and then you slap them in the face. I like it. Also, if I don't feel like using arrows, I can execute a tiger roll to gain some ground on this deer, and well, the rest is history. This is a part of some history in the game, the dungeon location, and I activate it. My map now indicates where 2 remaining keystones are, which I need to activate to unlock this door to open this dungeon. I make a quick side mission to get that chest I couldn't before. With my upgraded weapon, I was able to steal away with some glass and sapphires. I spot another ancient tablet here, and I make sure to read it. That's 2 out of 10, and I'm also level 3. And this is what happens if you don't watch your steps. Plural. Oh, so that's what happens, huh? Okay, let's just take it easy for a second. Never mind my clumsiness. I spot some slime nests over there. I gather some coal here, and I get ganged up by some slime jelly things. I can only think of that Dungeons and Dragons slime cube monster. I had to flee. But I love how I can place down platforms like this and recycle the thing right away, so you can get around down here with very little resources. Also, I can recycle from a distance, which is quite nice. I take my next skill point, faster sailing, which you'll see soon. 50% less outpost purchasing prices, I don't know what this is yet, and being able to see artifact locations in range, which sounds pretty helpful. What's not helpful is that I emerged out of the mines somewhere else. Up north actually, I'm on this tiny island. Not much here, except a single deer. But yes, it looks like I can travel across the map by going underground. I'll get to sailing these waters soon enough. But for now, I see some chickens here for the first time. As the savage that I am, I deck them, and I steal away with their feathers and eggs. I'm on my way back home, and here's the loading screen tip. You don't want to sail the seas, use the caves to traverse islands from the underground, which is exactly what I've just done. I'm also going to follow the advice from the blacksmith and cooking these raw hides to make leather. I do want that upgrade to my bag. I needed 2 more coins though, so I quickly made a sale of some wood so that I had 60, 10 of which was spent on a fishing rod from the fisherman at the dock. I like fishing in this game, it's very straightforward. Every time there's a flash, I click it and it reels in the fish. If the flash is red, I need to let that one slide, or otherwise I lose the fish. On this occasion, I have caught 2 marlin. That's quite the feat. Having double the inventory capacity is also quite the feat. There's another upgrade beyond this, but that's for later. Right now, I quickly gathered a little bit more wood and I can upgrade my workbench. With this advancement, I can make a few weapons and a shield, refinery and smelter, a void chest, but most importantly, at this time, I'll be able to craft my first seagoing vessel. I placed down this refinery in this other nook, but nothing can be done with it just yet. I'll continue on with the storyline then, activating those keystones and collecting resources while I do. 1 keystone was to the east of my home, okay, no worries. I harassed the local wildlife, I am quite the bully. The gods send me a warning though. Okay, well, my goodness gracious me. Okay, I'll behave. The last keystone is on that far island. I'm forced to build a bridge to get there. There's a few barrels here and within them a bunch of metal scraps. This material becomes quite useful later on. The touching of this keystone is useful now. I level from it and I can go access the dungeon over yonder. I get the skilled jumper perk and it allows me to jump 20% higher and run 10% quicker, which is a hell of a perk. At the dungeon, it is throwing it down, but with my trusty torch in hand, I can find the altar I need to activate, and now I'm able to enter my first dungeon. Check out the loading screen when I enter this place, it's pretty sick. Dungeons look similar to mines, it's the same sort of vibe, but there's more evidence of civilization in here. Voidlings are numerous in these places, and clashing with them is unavoidable. There's a waterfall under a bridge situation here, and I get dwarven vibes. These voidlings are not dwarves, though this particular specimen is more robust than the others. He likes to do a big spike smash, sending a ripple of stalagmites towards me, and he does a big ground smash. And when I get caught in it, I'll elaborate then. When I said the voidlings were numerous in here, I wasn't kidding. There's several nests of little spiderlings down here, and I need to cull them. This place also features booby traps, as demonstrated here. I like it. Further on, there's a spot with a barrier around it. As soon as I enter it, I activate a little test area. The challenge is that there's several nests that spawn their minions in quick succession. There's this big fella as well that likes to jump at me, and I need to cull everything in here. I really like that movement speed buff as it gives me that tiny little bit of oomph to stay ahead of the pack, and I can attack them when I want to. You may also notice that I get ticks of 5 HP back during the scuffle. One way you heal in this game is making sure that you have a full belly. So long as your tummy is full, you will have a passive heal over time effect. I see a makeshift barricade over here and a friendly doggo beyond. Hello doggo. I will tame this doggo. Dog collar has been unlocked. The caves are overrun. I'm not sure if I'll last the night. The void beasts are everywhere. There's no escape. I see. You made a makeshift barrier here, did you? So how old is this then, I wonder? Remember, people used to live underground, mining the lightstone or something. I guess this fella didn't go insane and he was fighting off his brethren. Poor fella. Anyways, I'm at the end of this instance and I find a chest with my reward. Mostly coins, sapphires, and another shiny stone, which I don't notice, and my quest log being updated. As I teleport out of here, I need to find the Tarragon Town board and activate the dungeon obelisk over there, wherever that is. Okay, wonderful. Alright, so that is pretty much Tutorial Island done. I feel like I've just played RuneScape, you know, back in 2005. God damn, that's a long time ago. 20 years. That's huge. Now, who here played RuneScape back in the day? Funny enough, it's on Steam now. Back to Lens Island, I see a warning that a harvest moon will rise tonight. That means a large number of voidlings will come to play at night, and they will be locked onto my location. I don't want to fight in my house, to be honest. One thing about that doggo, by the way, I can't name him so far as I know, so he's going to be called Ben, following tradition of course. But he can round up some items for me. See him over there picking up some wood? He is a good boy indeed. I have gathered what I need to make my first vessel. Not a very impressive looking thing. It feels like I'm playing Raft, actually. I can use my little ship to ram barrels on this occasion. It has some more metal parts, which I can use to make myself the smelter. With this one, I can smelt those scraps and iron shards into the hardened steel bars. I need more materials, however. Those bars will be for my weapon upgrade, which I'm pretty keen for. I'm back on the water again, and breaking down barrels is a reliable method to get scraps. Those currents you see, I can utilize to sail myself faster in that particular direction. This is an example of it. I had to ride this current to get this barrel that had some bananas in it. I've made landfall on a random island, doing my thing, and I've reached level 5. The last skill point I want here for now is this: keep your backpack upon death. Beautiful, mate. I'm gonna show you a neat trick with this perk later. Right now, I find a little house situation on this island. This isn't mine, but I can break it down if I wish to do so. There's even a nice spot to set up a bit of a farmland. Ooh, I was very tempted to make this my home base, but the fact that it was isolated really turned me away. Here's another mechanic I love about this game. I've harvested enough void essence to make this void chest. I wanted to test something. I tossed 3 pieces of fiber in here. I recycled the thing afterwards, then I remade it again over here. The 3 fiber are still in there. What about a whole stack of clay? I did the process again and I slapped it down a 3rd time, and voila, my resources are still in there. Here's the strategy: gather as much as I want, and when I need to store some stuff, I can make this single void chest and I can make a deposit. Afterwards, I simply break it down and carry on with my day, and when I get home later, I can transfer all of my ill-gotten goods into my storage then. I love this. Also, a harvest moon has risen. I made the mistake of going home. What the? Excuse me. I'll tell you one thing, buddy. You want... Oh God, okay. Yeah, so this is what happens. What happens is that waves of voidlings spawn and they're locked onto my position. They are going to hunt me down even in my own home. They're capable of damaging the structures, by the way. This will continue all night and it can become a pain. I can barely concentrate on storing my resources from the void chest. So yeah, very annoying. Especially when I thought I dispersed all of my foes, only to realize a little bit too late that one was biting my toes. Oh wow. Oh, you're kidding me. Wasn't paying attention to my health there, was I? No, I wasn't. Well, I mean, I died just here, so that's perfectly fine. Well, yes, I do respawn right there. I'm able to use my building habit to repair my house, but the attackers are becoming numerous, and it becomes too much to handle. When I have a moment to breathe, I quickly upgrade my weapon. With this new weapon, I have a new attack ability, a sword slash and dash. I execute that using the R button and the other one with E. They don't share the same cooldown either, so I can use them both quite frequently. Moving on, the harvest moon has finally ended, and I upgrade my pickaxe with some hardened steel bars. Now that the voidlings are giving me the opportunity, I go ahead and store all of my stuff I've been carrying in the void. The previous night was a bit rough. I have to do some housekeeping. I plan in the future to always try and be away from my home when the harvest moon rises. I don't want to do this over again. I could always retreat into the mines. It's fairly safe down there. speaking of which, I upgraded my pickaxe. It now has an additional E attack, so I can do big hits on rocks so I can further speed up my gathering. I do a fair bit of that actually, stocking up on metal shards for some more tool upgrades. I see something peculiar over there. Looks like stone foundations and a lot of voidlings. I was sauntering on down there. I became happy I saw lots of metal here, but also I saw a little circle blip on my map. After I gathered up my fill, I attempted to get to that circle. Yeah. That did not go to plan. No, it didn't, but I'm delighted I can see that I can gather this titanium now. That circle on my map was this candle. That was the artifact perk coming into clutch. I have to be close enough to sense them, but if I regularly check my map, I should do alright. I see rivers of lava down here, which is quite the sight to behold. A forest looking area, which is also quite unusual. I see some structures and voidlings as well. I'm intrigued and I see an artifact over there. I need to get through this area and well, I don't remember much. Oh Jesus. Okay, that's not where I want to go. Okay, that's not where I want to go. Okay, I've been told. I wake up in my bed. Normally, you would have to go and collect your bag of lost loot, but I have that perk that allows me to keep my loot. Well, guess who just discovered they have a fast travel up their sleeve? That's right, if I ever want to go home, I just have to, well, you know. Back down below, I made my way to that initial area I wanted to explore. Lots of smaller voidlings here, and a chest with a little something something for me. I had spent an hour or so down below and plundered enough materials to do some more upgrades. This included my axe, and upon felling this tree, I have hit level 6. I want to move into the top left section now, which is self-healing and farming, but I need to select each perk one at a time. For now, I get this one which gives me 5 more HP. I spent some time just sailing the seas, having a bit of a gander. I'm on the next big island, west of my one. I find these thick boy trees and these fellas drop hardwood for me. It starts to rain, it feels good. I like a game that has dynamic weather. Rain is a blessing. And with this, I have found Tarragon Town, my next destination. I make sure to stroke this town board so as to appease that box of text in the top right corner. The town also has a few levels to it, and the more I provide for them, the bigger the town becomes and the more services they can provide. I unlock the first one, and in an instant you can see new structures have been erected. I go and pick a fight with all these voidlings congregating outside the next dungeon. Once I've asked them all to politely move on, I activate the pillar here. It guides me to 3 new keystones that I need to activate to unlock this dungeon. I can see them on my map now, and it looks like they're quite far away. These bucks are also far away, but I am a master archer. I have played a stealth rogue build in Skyrim, as have we all. There's another mine entrance in Tarragon. There's mine entrances all over the place actually, and my artifact location perk led me to the shield on the cliffs here. I had an accident. Damn it. I wanted that chest. If I could have done that safely, that would have been better, but oh well. Well, I wanted to go home anyways, and you know what else is amazing? I respawn with a full belly. I am a god. I hope there's not going to be like a statistic about how much you suck at the end, because that would be so funny. Yeah, that would be pretty funny to see actually. What else will help me to see is upgrading my torch. I think it's made it brighter. It's hard to tell actually. I then upgrade my bow and I advance my workbench further, unlocking a new tier of things I can make, mainly a water tower which I can set up. There's a few new specific storage structures as well as a fireplace for cooking. I try out my new bow. It's a bit faster but not overly great against the voidlings. I see that it has an ability, multi-shot. It used 5 arrows at once. I have to try this out. I need to find a poor deer. Hello. What the did I just miss a multi-shot at point blank? Okay, I was a little down. I thought I was a masterclass bowman. I go and make a watering can and a scythe because clearly farming is what I need to stick to. No, it was dark. I couldn't see anything. How about another go? What the hell? Okay, yeah, no, something's up with the multi-shot. Will this only be useful against really big targets? Is that my understanding? Okay, so maybe I'll remember to use it later. Right now, to my north is a keystone that needs to be activated. I decide to taunt the wildlife. Goodness me, I am a nuisance. But I am also a bully to these voidlings. They were just minding their own business, and I drop in like a hurricane. I arrive at the next keystone, however, but it's a dungeon. The Forgotten Mines, to be precise. Going forward, dungeon crawling will be what I need to do to activate the next set of keystones, so the amount of voidlings I encounter will drastically increase. I believe these creatures were once human. I do see man-made structures in here, and this lines up with the history of Len's Island. This obsession, or curse, or whatever it is, has really altered these humans of old. I mean, this one looks like he's been turned into a floating fish that can shoot electricity, and yes, that's also a small stone house over there as well. In fact, there are lots of little structures down here, all mostly empty. I spec into the skilled farmer, 10 additional HP and 25% more healing from cooked food. I get into a bad altercation shortly later, and I take a lot of damage. I'm forced to back away. I scoffed down some berries, thinking this would heal me instantly as I got that perk. Remember, it said cooked food, and berries are not cooked. I do still get that heal over time, which is quite nice and appreciated. But as I explore these old homes, I eventually realized that the berries give me no instant heal, that I'd have to look for some other food type to benefit me instantaneously. I do some magnificent swan dives to get to hard to reach voidlings, and I get accosted by a whole gaggle of them. I also made the mistake of jumping when Mr. Plump over here did his ground smash thing. Oh, that's might be me. Yep, that's me. Okay, don't ever jump when this fella does his big stompy thing. Lessons learned. I simply respawn at the entrance and I continue on with my quest. After I slay many more, I get to the trial section. I cross the blue barrier, and the center of this room here has a large brazier. I spend a quick moment lighting it, and what this flame does is that it provides a healing aura for me when I'm in close proximity. After I thin the herd a little bit, I branch out and I take down these nests dotted around the section, always making sure not to get too swamped and backing out when I need to. So I go ahead and I take my time destroying all these nests, and when the final one diminishes, the barrier comes down, allowing for a few more players, about 4 to 20 of them, to enter the fight late. After some more encounters, I go and open my chest filled with my reward. I get some money. I leveled up, and I also get the Knight's Greave, my first armor piece. I go ahead and equip it, and you can see down below in the armor section, I have filled up almost 2 little chest pieces, meaning that I take less damage. The greaves also give me additional health. It is quite a banger. I activate the first keystone, working towards the Targon dungeon, but the place starts to shake and I have to leg it out of here. More strangers come out of the void, and I must break through them to make my escape. And escape I do. I haven't seen sunshine in a while. I see that when I interact with this keystone, I can curse this place for 75 void essence. I don't know why you would do this or even what it means. For now, I gloat over all my plundered resources I keep safely in my void chest, which I can summon and deconstruct whenever I want. There was an artifact up here, a mahogany bench. Finding this will allow me to make more of them myself later. I then choose the 2x hardwood and bamboo collection as I was out on the open waters. And when I make landfall on the following island with the next dungeon, I think about my food situation again. I make a temporary campfire. I load it up with some wood and I cook up all the raw venison I have. This is going to take a few minutes, so while I'm waiting, I go ahead and harvest up this entire island. The sun starts to go down, and 18 have been cooked thus far. It should be enough, I think. So as the night falls, I head into the next dungeon. Well, if it's going to be dark, I might as well be underground. I'm in the Forgotten Markets. At least Ben is here to accompany me. I quickly slot those cooked venisons into my hotbar. I'm gonna pause the frame for a moment. They heal me for 18 health instantly, and they fill up 4 stomachs of hunger. But I choose to keep the berries here as well, because if I simply need to fill up an empty hole in my stomach, well, a small berry will suffice. The markets have the same vibe as that previous location. traces of a civilization that used to live underground. I have taken fall damage again, and in this instance I scoff down some meat and I heal up. No time to wait for that passive heal, the instant good stuff is what I needed. Again, it's creepy to think that all these void creatures were once humans, and these houses were where they all used to live. This building in particular is still furnished. A chair and even a bed. It's nice to see that old mate who used to live here made his bed before turning voidish. But somewhere between that transformation and now, a huge amount of rubble has been piled on over here. I have to break it down if I want to continue. Actually, this could have been made by humans, trying to keep their transforming brethren at bay, but that's speculation. However, the place is old, as proven here as I stand on some floor parts and they simply crumble away. The next trial section was pretty straightforward, a small room with hordes of voidlings. However, the brazier was broken and I couldn't light it for some healing aura, so I had to make sure I kept moving and eating food when I needed to. I get my next reward, more coins, some fruit seeds or something, and a knight's chestplate, which is pretty huge. I do look spiffing, I must say, and the armor bonus is getting pretty thick. Level 9 is reached as I activate this keystone and I decide to leg it out of here. I have a thought. I've got to get a little bit of inspiration for a house design. Like, I'm looking at these houses here and they look pretty nice. But I want to think to myself, how do I want to develop my house? What do I want it to look like? Yeah, I think building my main home should be on my to-do list soon. I grab my next perk, Elite Farmer, extra seed harvesting, 10 points of extra health, and 2 times the water can capacity. Ooh, very nice. I then spot a lighthouse on my way to my next goal. The view from the top is quite nice. It's a little bit later, and I've let loose 14 arrows to down this deer that's only a few meters away from me. Maybe I'm not the archer I thought I was. Okay, maybe I should stick to farming. I can use my scythe to harvest up some flowers and their seeds, which I can plant later. I get to my next island destination, and I beat up some locals. I learn a little bit about the history by reading this ancient tablet, and that's 3 out of 10. Before I head into my next splunking session, I make a little campfire up above again, and decide to cure some leather so that when I finish the dungeon, it should all be done here as well. The Forgotten Outpost is my current purpose, and there are numerous voidling denizens of course. While I'm in here, I see a harvest moon rising. Well, it suits me, I'm nowhere near my home. Nope, I'm deep underground attempting this dungeon's trial. Several of those honkin' fellas appear, and I have to be careful for their spike attack and their ground smashes. Things get a little bit dicey, the numbers are huge and I'm all alone, except for Ben, my dog. But of course, he's passive. Well, that's great for him, I nearly died here, and after some more evasive maneuvers, I do come out alive. I got more coins and knight's braces for the occasion, and this is the last keystone needed to be activated, so I should be able to enter the main dungeon now. I come across some banana trees. I would really like to start my own orchard, and maybe bananas would be a source of food for me. In time, for right now, I am prepared to enter this main dungeon on Tarragon Island. I've hit level 10 just as I was about to enter it, and I take the passive 5 health every 60 seconds, which may not sound like much, but it can come into clutch. Apparently this place is called Tarragon City, which is very interesting as the settlement above is called Tarragon Town. In the editing phase I realized this, so it makes me wonder, did a few ancient people flee the city and reconstruct the town just above, and they gave it the same name, implying that the descendants of those that escaped the obsession are above the ground right now? I don't know, it sounds plausible to me, and as you can see that 5 health every 60 seconds as well as a full stomach really comes into play between altercations. In the long run, this is going to save me having to use food, so it's good stuff. I'm harvesting this rock, and this little spider fella becomes a casualty of my harvesting. Well, he shouldn't have been standing there. And the same could be said for me here. Oh, you're kidding me. Well, that is a genius strategy. I prompt my most difficult trial to date. A flame spitter fella is here, and he does exactly that. I catch on fire, and I'm forced to take refuge in a small puddle of water, which has been strategically placed here to take advantage of. I had to be careful here, and I eat food quickly to heal as I had little space to fight this fella, but I eventually get the killing blow. I get a reward at this point. It's a new sword type, one that I don't think I ever used, but with this gift, the dungeon is not yet done. I saunter on, and in this crate I find some kind of potions. A regeneration potion. 10 HP every 2 seconds for 30 seconds, which is 15 occasions times 10, which is 150 health over 30 seconds. This is pretty huge. I put it on my hotbar, but fun fact, I forget about these potions for a very long time. I continue to explore through the ancient city. Some of these individuals were minimalists, just a bed and a chair in this tiny house. Maybe it's a sign of harsh working conditions. But I do see what looks like an old market with a few stores that probably had some goods to be sold. My main battle tactic I eventually developed is to run away, hurt up the offenders and do a big burst of damage, which is then followed with more running. I avoid damage at all costs. I perfected this technique later on. I was still a little bit rusty at this point and awkward when I had to deal with these nests at the same time. Now, imagine being this unlucky fella who has to live in this house. Did this place used to look more lively? I mean, looking out, all I see is the abyss. The next trial, I have 3 chunky boys and what looks like several booby traps on the floor. I get knocked on one of them and I get peppered with bolts from down below. However, I come out victorious in this fight. There's 2 paths next, one that leads to the reconstruction of a huge stone bridge which leads to a shortcut back out. The other leads to the final confrontation of Tarragon City. That is the Void Ball, my first proper boss fight. The fella is quite huge and intimidating, rightfully so. When he gets a hit on me, I lose 1/5 of my health. I try using my bow, but as I haven't practiced much with this thing, it's awkward for me to use it in the heat of battle. I rely on my martial combat skills. I am careless though. I need to be agile here. Going toe to toe with this fella will quickly lead to my demise. I employ my weave in for an attack and get out of dodge for this fight, taking opportunities to do damage and take none myself. When I need to, I simply run around in circles and let my passive heals bolster my courage. That morale takes a bit of a hit when the chunky fella shoots lightning from his terrifying maul, followed with sending literal shockwaves through the earth that I need to dodge at all costs. Here's a quick snippet of what this fight sequence looks like. This is what Len wanted. He couldn't stand by any longer as the void did its thing, so here I am taking the fight to the enemy. I do make sure to stay positive, of course. Goodness gracious me. The fight finally ends in my favor, and I have slain the mighty Void Ball. Coins are my reward, of course, as well as the final knight's piece, which is the helmet. Currently with this set, I have a full bar of armor and 95 total HP. Scratch that, with this Master Farmer perk, I get 10 additional HP and the ability to auto revive once every 40 minutes, meaning that if I die, I simply don't and I can continue to fight. Unlike the lesser dungeons, I can warp out of this one. I'm sailing home and Act 3 is revealed to me. Find Shavar Island and the town board there and activate the dungeon obelisk. This is the overall gameplay loop of the game. However, this is a survival crafting game and this is my current home. I decide to build everything I currently have access to, a wood and stone type storage as well as a metal one. In fact, I'm gonna pause it for a few moments. Those icons on the right is everything that belongs in this chest. I make a loom where I can refine cotton into cloth, a fireplace where I can do some proper cooking, and looking at all this, I want to take some time to build myself a proper home. So in the rain, I looked around a bit. I actually went back to Tarragon Island as well, but I eventually settled on this location because I wanted to incorporate a fishing pond into my base as well. I started to clear the surrounding land, and the first foundations of my new home are laid down shortly later. I'm testing some things out, and as I do, I want to quickly say I really enjoyed the base building in this game. It was really well designed. I wanted to use a stone foundation for this build, but I used wood to plan out where all the flat ground is in this area. Here you are, this is the space I can work with. I am jubilant to see that across this opposite body of water, there is a huge amount of flat ground as well. If I play my cards right, I could build a bridge that leads into a big farming space I can create. I like how the world is in peril and I have to save it or something like that, and then this dickhead is just building a huge base. Like, that is just classically what you do. Well, yeah, how can I save the world if I couldn't do simple housekeeping sort of stuff? So, a short time later, the entire floor is now a stone foundation. However, I didn't want to be directly on the soil, so I go ahead and make a wall around the entire perimeter, at which point I place stone ceilings, creating a second floor. It took some time, but my home is now going to be slightly above ground level, giving me a bit of a view. This is what it looks like from this angle. It gives me the high ground against any voidlings that come to attack me. They would have to go up one of these staircase entries, this being one of them. Now, I had a choice here. I could make the entire base out of stone, but I thought that would look just too bland. You have a few variations you can choose from, building the same structural things with varying looks and using different materials. Other than simple wood, I also had hardwood, which makes the pagoda style stuff. I placed down a few walls and I really got invested into this look, so I go ahead and create the entire perimeter of this pagoda home. I make sure to leave some sections clear for future outside patio areas, and I settle on these giant doorways because I ended up liking the open feel for it. Windows are obviously going to be used as well, of course. Here's a quick look back at the simple wood. Pagoda is a lot darker, and I feel it would go better with the grey stone base. Back to my new home, and I start to divide the space up with a few rooms in mind. I start slapping the pagoda type roof structures, and I haven't actually seen them yet, but with the grey stone, dark wood, and the dark green on top, I thought this would look pretty epic. Check out this little whatever these are called on the roof tiles. They look pretty schmick. It kind of reminds me of the Japanese architecture I've seen in Age of Empires 2. That's going on a little while back. This is one porch connected to the pond section and then another entryway. I have a few unwanted visitors, of course, and this is how the progress is looking in the daytime. This is how the completed roof looks towards the end. It's a bit messy, but I don't mind it. It does give it a natural feel. I turn my attention to this bridge on the river. I had to be clever here with the structures because I wanted an archway that didn't block the water flow. I made a base bridge over the whole thing, and then I deleted the middle sections, and with some finicking around with the structures, I was finally able to connect the two sides with an arch down the middle. It's not perfect, but that's the best I could do in this instance. It's a short time later, and I've used these sunlight ceilings to make a nice passageway that will eventually lead to this side across the water. I have mentioned in a few of my past videos that very few games really get me involved with the building mechanics, but I can honestly say I really enjoyed myself here. However, a harvest moon rises, and here are some more unnecessary visitors. I went AFK in the mines for the duration of it. However, I decided to do a little gathering seeing as I'm here. I like how I'm in town fighting for my life and everyone just goes about their business. Just another day for them in this wonderful game called Lens Island. I leveled again and I take this lifesteal rune, which I'll elaborate on later. Here's how the bridge looks like, and I think it came out quite nice. I start to break down everything in my old home. You get all resources back for deconstructing, by the way. I move everything into my new place of residence. This is going to be my new storage depot. My crafting section gets placed over here, and this is how I summed up this one for now, but it will change later. I make a bare bedroom for now, as I don't have many decoration type stuff. A kitchen is followed up, and during the night I'm reminded that I do need lighting. So I go ahead and start with the outside wall, followed with the interior. I can't work in the dark now, can I? With the placing of this pole light, that should be enough for now. I still need to unlock decorations in the game and new building type things, so let's stop there for now. I inspect the enchanting table and I realize I can enchant armor pieces, whereas in my previous half-played game I only ever did my weapons. That is for later. Right now I break down my old base and I take a little well-earned break by going fishing in my pond. It's time to resume the game, and I set my eyes on a few things that I want. This Pioneer backpack, it allows for stacks of 200. It's going to take cloth, which I don't have yet. Upgrading my workbench will require titanium bars, and as I haven't seen that either, let's just continue on with the story. I enchant my torch here with Enlighten, as it'll make it brighter for me. I mean, I think it's brighter, I can't actually tell. Anyways, onwards to the town of Shavar. It looks like it resides on a tropical sandy looking island. I encounter limestone for the first time, and from memory, this is the secondary base material I need to smelt titanium bars. As normal, I see little voidlings, but I also encounter a larger aggressive type. From that small scuffle, you can see I took 10 damage being around them. Maybe they have thorny skin, I don't know. but they can hurt me just by being in their proximity. There's also little dens around here with different looking spiders, and I encounter a tanky hedgehog. I have to dodge this fella as he's currently in his attack stance. He proceeds to fling boulders at me, which is really quite unnecessary, and when he finally unfurls, I can switch to attack stance. I defeat this foe, and I see that he drops 8 void essence, which is actually significantly higher than any other common mob to date. I go into this passage leading down, and what looks like to be a giant quarry. I play tag with the local inhabitants, and I take some time to read. I'm at the end near this waterfall, and I activate the dungeon on this island. My old gamer instinct compels me to check behind the waterfall, but alas, I'm left disappointed. There's no treasure for me on this occasion. I enter Shavar town proper, which is just an open looking marketplace on this island. Eduardo here sells a few things I would need in the near future: olive seeds, banana seeds, and cotton seeds. Sontaine here, which is French by the way, is over here, and she sells a sorcerer's outfit, which is nice for her, I guess. I find the board, and I have completed the next step in my quest. However, I can't upgrade this town as I lack cotton. I go inside a nearby mineshaft, and I see there's an artifact up there. Like an idiot, I try to use these current pillars to jump up there. 5 minutes later, I remembered that I can build in here, and I finally grab this golden globe. Good-o. Now, in this new area, I have found limestone, but I also need to find cotton. I don't want to buy it, and I'm not seeing it on this island, so I set sail looking for this elusive flora. I spy the next few minor dungeons on my map, so perhaps I should just continue on with the story. Before I enter the next dungeon, I saw a few islands below it. I explore them, and there's lots of limestone here, plus what looks like a large mining operation. Inside the shaft, I do find a mining quarry, but from the looks of it, if I fuel this thing with olive oil, it will gather a bunch of materials: titanium, limestone, and even lightstone, which is the bottom right one, which I eventually learn. I jump to the top, and from here I see something shiny. I've not mined it yet, but I was guessing that was lightstone over there. Above ground and a short swim from that island, I find another patch of dry land, and here I find my first cotton bush, and I finally get some cotton seeds. I make sure to harvest it up with my scythe, for more of course. I wanted to gather as much as I can so I can plant it back home. Now here's my 5th ancient tablet. I found half of them at this point, and it's time to enter the dungeon proper, the corrupt tombs. This place is really dark. I encounter those fellas that do thorn damage back to me, so I have to be very careful. My first trial is a horde of those floating worm things and their spawn points. A lot of these guys all shocking me at the same time can be quite lethal. I had to destroy this tower in this section to pass further. I've reached level 13, and I start moving into the bottom right tree, which is all about buffing my combat. I do a magnificent jump over a river of lava. I fight for my life, and I see from this angle a nasty trap area up above. To get there, I have to dodge through this fire door trap. Now, I'm smart enough to dodge this, but the voidlings aren't. And soon enough, I'm being chased down by firelings. I take evasive actions in this encounter, but I nearly die at this point. My current health food is starting to show its limitations. Okay, so I did just die there. Correct, I died and revived on the spot, but if I die again, I'll respawn at the entrance. That was the farming poke in action, by the way. I get through this rotating spike door, but I'm forced to really engage in evasive maneuvers. There's way too many guys that do thorn damage to me. I outrun them, and I go for the nests when I can. There is about 10 of them following me right now. When the time is right, I do a quick 180, deliver a few hard hits on them, and continue to run away, healing back up. In this process, I get the achievement to eat 50 cooked deer meat or something. I wasn't paying attention. And after some time, I finally slay the last few thornlings. The next armor set I'll be getting at this stage of the game is the Viking outfit, it seems. It has a plus 20 cold resistance, which may give you an inclination on what the next section will entail. After this, I get the keystone and I leg it out of here. I'm back in the mines again, where I saw that potential lightstone before. I've built a bridge and I've dealt with the locals, but I'm disappointed to see that my mining pick is too low tier to mine this up. However, I know where this is, and I'll leave this bridge here so I can easily come back for it. I take a river rapids ride back home, and at which point I get some footage of the titanium bars, taking 10 of both titanium and limestone. I will have enough to upgrade my crafting table, but I only have 18 cotton on me, and 5 of them refined into 1 silk. I don't have enough for my backpack. I do some inventory management. My void chest is here, and I take everything out of it and put them into the respective material chests. While I wait for my titanium, I investigate the farming area and I think about what I want to do here. I've done a bit of farming before in another session, so I have an idea on how it works and how I want to set this up. I was about to upgrade my table when I realized something. I can't upgrade this. I can't actually do it until I get the backpack. Okay, fair enough. If you're confused, it's because the table requires 120 hardwood, but I can only carry stacks of 100, meaning I have to upgrade my inventory bag first. So I make a crappy temporary farming plot right here for the cotton. It'll take a bit to grow, so until then, I am stuck. It's currently raining, so I don't have to water these, but I go ahead and make a water well so that I can fill my watering can for this farm plot later on. I had 1 cloth of course, and I was able to make this bigger sea-going vessel. This one goes much faster, and it has a storage chest on it, which I don't think I used once, because the void chests are just that damn good. I'm exploring north, and I find a structure here. No idea what this is for yet. I find another island with some cotton on it, which I sickle up, and then I continue to slay this fellow using the same method. I found several more cotton on this island. I would have had enough for my backpack now, but oh well, better late than never. I read this tablet just in time because I get assailed by several nasty fellas. That's 6 out of 10. I'm sailing around and I come across a big structure on this island. I see that this is a stone quarry because I saw something similar before. However, on this occasion, I hovered my mouse over the right spot, which allowed me to interact with this wooden board. It's a resource outpost. I can purchase and upgrade these and they will passively generate me materials, though they will be randomly attacked on harvest moon nights, so I will either have to set up defenses or come to their aid. This is the stone one, and unbeknownst to me, I ran into the wood one a few moments ago. For now, I head back home and I water my cotton, and I have gotten enough from my expedition north to get what I need. While I wait, I start the layout of this farm plot. I appreciated the fact that I can also make these crop plots out of stone as well. I chopped down a few trees in the area, and I realized that I need to be careful as trees can cause damage to my structures. After some repairs, I start to slap down some crop plots, working out the design in my head. I take a quick break of course to go and get the Pioneer's backpack, followed with grabbing the level 4 workbench upgrade. Funny enough, that's the maximum level now. Back to my farming work. I am devastated that these natural rocks here are in my way and I need to rethink my layout. However, upon further inspection, this actually makes me really happy because I see a better way of doing this. I switch them around and I lay a 2-tile path that goes over the small nuisance of a rock. This is how it looks like from one side, and by this evening I have doubled it and made a second farm plot opposite the first. That was a lot of building, and my resource supplies have taken quite a hit, so I go ahead and recuperate what I've used, and then some, because I wasn't done yet. I'm on my way back home and I sell some lavenders to the flower merchant here in Tarragon. 1 gold a flower is pretty nice, seeing as I just gather them out in the wild. I have a seed storage chest as well, and I have a very nice collection of flowers and seeds ready to be tossed into my farmlands. Speaking of which, I need to work towards automatic watering for these crops. This involves the water tower and the windmill. The windmill takes 220 wood each, so I have to upgrade my backpack yet again. I needed cloth, and as luck would have it, after I watered this lot, they instantly reach full maturity. I set them up for the best possible harvest, and I now have 23 cotton seeds to plant in my next batch, although I think some of these seeds have also been gathered in the wild. It was enough, and I was able to upgrade my backpack. I can carry stacks of 300 now, which is pretty huge, but even that pales in comparison to the last upgrade, which allows me to carry 500, though that one is a little bit expensive. This is how the water tower works. It can water X amount of crop plots around it, as indicated by the water lines. The first level can water 12 spots, and over time, the number can increase when I upgrade this contraption, which will take olive oil metal parts and hardwood. I take down half of the crop plots here because I don't want the water towers to randomly choose 12 out of 24. I'd rather have one side fully functional to begin with. I replace the tower and you can see all those lines are now interacting with the ones I want. I make a well close by and I manually fill up the tower, as that is how you get automation started, with a little bit of manual labor. I look at what seeds I have and what I want to grow. I definitely need cotton. I also want blueberries for a stable food source, as well as pumpkins for the same reason. The last few plots I used to grow marigolds to sell for some profit later. I've not come across olives, so I can't get olive oil yet. What I can do is enclose this entire section. I didn't find a nice garden fence I liked, so I simply used grape trellis type things. As you can see, I can grow passion fruits or grapes on these, but nope, this is for my boundary wall. Now the other thing that gets automation really going here is water pumps. Again, it needs cloth, so I'm stuck here for a bit. I go ahead and fluff around while I wait for my cotton to grow. I was out exploring and I saw whatever this is. It has a few pillars that are lit up and a cracked surface. It reminds me of the portal thing I see in towns, but I wasn't sure what this thing was for. Currently, I'm a lowly peasant filling up my own water tower. I have 2 dungeons for this act to go, and I narrowly dodged the mighty jaws of a shark when I take off from this island. You almost got me, pal. I'm wondering, can you even get me in this big boy boat? Come on, I'll make it easy for you. Come on, you filthy, slimy, mangy character. What are you gonna do? Okay, you're doing that, are you? Okay, interesting. So he can attack you. Oh yeah, you can attack me, and it compelled my guy to stand up for the occasion. Alright then. I take on 2 Sonics at the same time, which is quite exciting, and I enter the corrupted monuments. Like the previous one, this place is very dark. However, a little further in, I come across this. I mean, the light is appreciated, but why do you want to hurt me, dungeon? It goes as well as you expect. The first trial in this one was easy enough. I had one roly-poly fella I had to deal with, and several others. I reached level 15 while juking it out next to some lava pits, and I go further down into the combat spec. The trial by fire features a wooden raft floating on molten lava. There's also several islands, and these little zappy eel fellas, so this one gets tricky. When I was on one platform, I was vulnerable to eel attacks from the next platform, but my reward is the Viking's chest plate. I'm back outside on this island, minding my business, and then I see something that I would like to make my business. And naturally, the current owners want nothing to do with me, which is fair. But after some enthusiastic conversation, I am also left disappointed as I can't even retrieve whatever this is. It's fine, I don't want it, I never did. I may have been a bit salty, even a tiger senses this and bolts like a rabbit from my foul mood. However, I spot another area guarded by big boy red spiders. There's something there, so naturally I become greedy. I engage the arachnids and I see that they can do a lot of damage, so I do have to be careful. My caution and greediness pays off, and I find this? The chop arch. When Captain says to chop some wood real quick, use this. Are you serious? Did I find a new axe to chop wood with? I go ahead and try it out. It is faster, but a lot less damage. It was a nice find, but really, I do prefer my own. I also find the wrecked braces here, a 10% sailing speed bonus, which I'm gonna see later. I also enjoy my first harvest. For reference, remember, I started the cotton fields with 23 seeds, and I got 34 seeds back, so that's 9 additional seeds. I will always get more back, so this is how I will increase the size of my farming operations. If I'm looking to expand soon, I need to work towards proper automation. I go ahead and slap down a windmill close to this water source and within range of the water tower. Here I'm putting down a water pump. As you can see, it needs to be within range of both the tower and the windmill to operate properly. Are you a fully functioning fella right now? You are a fully functioning... Asking a water tower if he's a fully functioning fella. Well, I do talk a lot while I play these games, and I always talk to myself. Anyways, that's also the first time I harvest up some marigolds, and this farm plot is completely automated now. Once I upgrade this tower, it should be able to water crop plots on the other side as well, but until then, 12 is enough. I go ahead and reseed the farm plot, happily knowing I only have to come back and reap the rewards. Naturally, this makes me jubilant. Excellent. I joyfully expand my domain on this small island, with the idea of making this section into a small chicken coop area. I try to be creative and do something here with the foundation to allow little drinking holes for the future fowls, and this is what I came up with. I do something similar on the opposite side, and once I was happy with it, I enclosed this entire area with something that's technically not a fence. The cluckies will have some grass to frolic in, and hopefully some trees will regrow in here for some shade as well. I make a smaller fence inside, which should keep them enclosed, and I think we're all set. I place down my first coop. This is new to me, and I see that I need 1 egg and some wheat, which equals a chicken. Alright then. I currently have 20 wheat on me, and 9 eggs which I've absconded with from wild chickens. I guess I'll have to give it some time. I wanted to make some watchtowers, but I was interrupted by a harvest moon, so I quickly took to the high seas, and I found myself in the corrupt chasm, the last minor dungeon of this section. I have an oh crap moment when I saw that I completely forgot to bring extra food, so I have no decent instant heal stuff. I also do a huge leap of faith. Goodness, you're supposed to build this with limestone. Well, I hope I've got limestone on me. Well, either that or I hope I find some in this dungeon. Otherwise, it's gonna get tricky getting out. I had to wait around between fights for the passive heals. I had bananas, but for some reason I didn't eat them. Silly, I think. At least I did find limestone in this place, so I will be able to make my escape. For this dungeon, I had to be very careful, but I'm glad I finally decided not to be stupid and rely on the bananas for this occasion. I'm glad I did, because I get jumped by a very dangerous looking fella. Another one on fire, and this time there is no water for me to submerge myself in. I lead it up to some open space, and I employ the old attack and weave out tactic. He's not actually as terrifying as I thought he would be, and as the harvest moon ended, so does he. But with this scuffle, I've learned to use my R attack first, going into my E attack. I used to do a normal attack first, then E and R, but I found that the other way flowed better for movement. I employed my next battle tactic in this Beyond Chasm trial, featuring lava in the center, so I had to watch my step. I can definitely say using both special attacks like this keeps up the momentum, and well, I needed the momentum to move quickly. Look at the amount of friends I have currently chasing me. Check out this sick combo.
Wonderful applause, me.
Very nice. Level 16 is reached and I take the Elite Assassin. More chances for Void Essence to drop, 15% cooldown reduction for my special attacks, and 10% more base damage. Ooh, I'm an absolute unit, mate. I also get the Viking braces for completing this dungeon. I'm still on the same island getting titanium and beating up some locals, when I spot a treasure chest in the structure up above. It's these fellas that do thorn damage back to me, so I keep running away and attacking when I can. I make sure to target the nests first and trying to see the humor in things. Oh, it's the funniest thing ever. So after I laughed, I then disposed of all these cretins. I get my reward from this chest, the Feather Shield. Increases base and critical damage, but the thing gives me 20% movement speed, which is so appreciated. A little gripe though. The thing takes up a hotbar space as you wear it. By this time, I start to get a little peeved that you only have 6 hotbar keys. However, this movement speed also applies to my sailing, so overall, this shield is boss. I'm approaching my home in the darkness, and it looks very nice from afar. And at that moment, I'm presented with a moment to hunt a deer. I am quite pleased that with all my movement speed stuff, I can hunt this deer while on foot. I am tired now. I choose to sleep for the first time, and night turns to day very very quickly. I spot my first foul here. Of course, she runs away from me, which is quite upsetting. And no matter, I have work to do and I harvest up my fields. I sell over 200 marigolds to Steph, making over 200 gold, which is nothing to sneeze at. While I was here, I upgrade Bridgewater to level 3, allowing for the warp portal here to become functional. This town is now maxed out and the portal is active in the center, though it has no connections anywhere else, so at the moment, it's useless. But I do see they have some defensive towers around, so these should take down voidlings at nighttime. I then set up my second farming area with all the needed machines, and I go ahead and sow all these plots, a little bit more of everything for now. As I ran out of food before, I spent some time on camera and off camera looking at all the food items I can make in this game. The recipes are on the fireplace, but the description of how much hunger and health it gives you are in my inventory, so it took a little bit to understand. The blueberry muffins, for example, requires 5 flour and 2 berries for each one. They fill me up a bit less, but they heal for the same amount as the meat I've been eating. Speaking of that meat, I saw my past self toss that lot into the fireplace. Yeah, he's going to get confused at some point, because the fireplace doesn't cook the meat. The campfire does. Anyways, I can make pumpkin pies. It takes 1 pumpkin and 5 flour. It gives very good health and hunger. And then there's the banana bread. It has a 2 HP heal every 6 seconds, as well as an instant 12 HP heal. This, along with the pumpkins, could be very helpful. I see there's a few other meals here, and they offer some cold resistance. I have been finding the Viking gear that does the same in my travels, and I have also seen sheets of ice around, which I'll have to show you later. I will have eggs coming my way shortly, so maybe I could even make a fish ramen bowl. To this point, I've never really looked into the cooking this much, and it was a lot to take in. I made a habit of sleeping through the night by this point, because the voidling attacks at nighttime started to become a bother. I see by this time that I have collected a few olives, but no olive seeds. I would need these if I'm going to upgrade my farming operations. But olive oil is also used in some of these recipes, so the fish ramen bowl is a little bit out of my reach for the moment. But what about that random fish? It's called the bluegill. Well, what about my pond? I'm gonna pause the frame there so you can see that I've caught 1 fish type in this pond already. The other one is unknown. I go ahead and upgrade my fishing rod. 1 time only, actually, and this is the maximum level you can reach with it. I also enchant it, and the only option is the proficiency, which has a 50% chance to double the fishing catch bonus, which sounds pretty swell to me. After a few attempts, I hook a fish and I catch 2 because of the enchantment. I am pleased to discover it will be the fish I need for those future ramen bowls. I should be sorted. That fishing rod power allowed me to reel in 6 fish on this occasion. Somehow. I'm familiar with chickens laying eggs, and I can see that they're doing that right now. Honestly, it feels like I'm playing Stardew Valley, or actually no, it feels like I'm playing Dinkum. I make 2 extra coops because the chicken incubation time is quite long. This is how I feel about that. We're going to quadruple in the eggs very soon. I like it a lot. Yep, he does sound excited. I was starting a new session of play, and I saw a game tip. Cursed dungeons are filled with challenging enemies and unique rewards. This sounded interesting to me. I have seen that I could curse dungeons before, but I never tried. I also realized by this point that all my meat was raw, and I needed a campfire for it, so there you go. I started to work towards base defenses, putting stone base or pillars in strategic locations. I make the ballista turrets on top, and these guys look pretty intimidating. In fact, here's an opportunity to showcase what it does. There was an enemy outside, and I let the tower do its thing. From the looks of it, it's very effective. As a result, these fellas get erected all around my perimeter. Honestly, you get distracted with the base building. I forgot what I was supposed to be doing. Oh, right, the actual main dungeon for Act 3 and saving the world or something. A few moments later, I'm back there and I'm inside the ancient tombs proper. At least this place is lit up compared to all its minor dungeons. However, this one is unique. I have to enter a dungeon to enter another dungeon a little ways in. So I'm deep in the earth and I'm exposed to a vast ancient city. The denizens of this old city are still here from the looks of it. I have to trek through active booby traps. I level and I take the rune enchantment called Electrify, which you're gonna see later, and I get accosted by this little fella's electrical attack. I start to come to terms that my current weapon levels are performing a little shy of what I need them to do. They do the job, sure, but it's time time for some upgrades. Speaking of that, I needed olive seeds to help with my farming upgrades, and I just found my first ever olive seed. A single one is more than enough to start that process. I enter the Dozer Zone. 3 Sonic the Hedgehogs are present, but one is on fire, which poses a slight problem, especially when they start to throw their boulders like this. And I see here that the fire ones also lock onto me like homing missiles. I attacked when the opportunity presented itself, and eventually whittled the fella down into disintegration. I stand below in a chasm where all those idiots up above are trying to find their way to me, but they're standing in the line of fire of some stabby traps, so less work for me. I find a light encrusted chest in this corner here, and when I force it open, I find a few light stones. I activate pillars to take me upwards, and I do some magnificent jumps over these platforms. I fight voidlings in tight corridors, and my reward towards the end of this place is a new weapon, the titanium glaive. Fun fact, this becomes my favorite weapon in this game, for the simple reason that it does good damage and it's very quick. I exit back into the ancient tomb section, the place before I had to cross into the second one. There's a platform here. Once I stand on it, it rebuilds a bridge back the way I came. But there's another instance there. The final boss perhaps? Troll in the dungeon, is it? Troll in the dungeon! Oh yeah, he's a big boy, isn't he? Oh yeah, he is a big boy, and as he's quite chunky, he can pick up big boy boulders and throw them at me, only for me to realize they turn into little hedgehogs. He does a big stomp for big damage, and just like the little fellas, he can also throw rocks at me, which makes this a cool fight. Over the course of the scuffle, he summons more hedgehogs, so when I have the chance, I do need to cull them, or else I will become overwhelmed. I found that it's best practice to get an attack on him and leave. If I go toe to toe with him, I will die very quickly. He starts to pick up a new hedgehog. It's a perfect window for me to slap him several times, and in this wave there are 4 little guys and him. It's quite a lot, so I have to engage when the moment is right. Now here's the final moments of this fight. Little fella. There was no Harry and Ron to save me from this one. Nope, those two didn't show up at all. I just kept swishing and flicking until the troll fell at my feet. Anyhow, my final reward here is the Viking helmet, though to be honest I like this glaive reward more. I also leveled in that fight, so I take the Master Assassin skill for the ability cooldown reductions, the bonus crit damage, and a 10% chance to double the crit damage, which is insanely good. I'm heading home and I'm currently in Act 4. I need to find the town of Emay, but I'm still here at Shavar and I decide to buy 10 olive seeds as well as 10 banana seeds. I was gathering on my way home, but here's a quick snippet of that 10% double crit damage, and I was able to use my E attack when gathering this rock. It's almost an instant gather, but I have to wait for it to occur and actually utilize it like a normal crit. Here's another example on a tree. Speaking of trees, olives and bananas grow on trees, and each tree takes up a whole crop plot. This is required though. I really need the olive oil for upgrading the farming operations, and the bananas for a new food in general. I saw I was getting experience for some reason, and it's because my defenses are killing this voidling out in the wild. This is very helpful because it got me to level 19. I felt safe in the knowledge, knowing that I won't get attacked anymore and I can go about my business during the night. And I start to level my fella into the mining and resource gathering tree. I start making a few of the weapons I haven't used in this game. This hammer for example. When I use it, obviously it's a big heavy weapon. I wanted to try them all out, but long story short, I always reverted back to the glaive. It was made out of titanium when I found it, and I slowly have to get all my other tools and weapons to that same level. The pickaxe in this instance. I enchant it with miner as well, giving me a 25% chance to double the resources from mining, which is again a big deal. Here it is occurring on this rock. I usually get 14, but I got 28 rocks instead. I can tell it happened because the whole rock lit up as it fell apart. So for a short while, again, I took it easy. I went back to the area where I saw that lightstone before, and I was able to gather it with my titanium pickaxe. I stopped to kill and collect some slime, because I remembered seeing that it was used somewhere, and I had to make the best use of my structures to attempt an impossible jump. This was the final result. Oh, just mate. Oh, bloody acrobat there. I logged into a new session of play, and as I do, I see a bear running away from me. Okay, fair enough. Up to this point, I've been making all of my platforms and stuff in here out of wood. I'm pointing that out because I also take them down after I use them, making traversing this place a little cumbersome. I'm mining up some lightstone here, and I get the achievement Lit Fam for getting 50 of them. At what point do I start to turn into a voidling? Well, at least I won't starve to death. This skilled crafter perk lets me gather more wood and my hunger drains 50% slower. That sounds great, right? Well, take note of that last one. My hunger decreases slower now. Back to the point about making wood structures. Why was I doing that? I'm constantly getting stone and I can make everything out of stone and leave the platforms, which would make this process a whole lot smoother. I'm taking a random exit and I'm shocked that I've accidentally taken a passage out into the frozen land. I take 10 damage every few seconds and I need to leave quickly. Getting all that Viking gear makes perfect sense now because I will be moving into the cold area. I leave this frozen zone and the cold damage ceases, but even a short duration there without being properly geared will prove fatal. However, this hurts me more. I was gone for well over an hour and a half and my trees have not grown yet. Disgraceful. What else peeved me is some of my chickens have escaped their enclosure. Yeah, I can't have that. I have to set an example. I then see where I use that green goo. It's for my torch upgrade. Well, my axe has to come first. I let the game run for a bit and my trees finally grew. I chop them down and gather up from the ground. I have to say you get a lot of olives from these trees. 48 from 3 trees. I saw that Steph here had a farmer's outfit that improves the harvest, so I make sure to get them. I equip myself like a farmer, which is a bandana and a hat. I didn't get a good reading on this occasion because I maxed out my olives, but I'm sure I got more. I have to refine them into oil, and at this point I really pay attention to the fuels. I can use olive oil at most of my machines. Hardwood I can see is going for a 1:5 ratio, which means nothing to me right now. While it's doing that, I go ahead and rearrange some stuff. My table, which is now almost useless, goes out here as decoration. I put my enchanting and loom machines in the same room, and I make 2 refineries, both of which is going to make me oil now. I also make 2 smelters, so I can smelt bars 2 times quicker. Doubling the size of my farm plot should yield me double the result in regards to farming, and I'm very close to having this fully operational now. In fact, here it is. Okay, cool. I would love to upgrade you. Cool, so those ones have gone watered now. What about another time? Another time, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay, that's wonderful. That is really good news. And just like that, a single water tower can automatically water 24 crop plots instead of 12. By the way, scratch that, I have 2 setups, so I have 48 total now. It's more than enough for my farming purposes. I go ahead and reseed everything that I need. I have to say, having my farming lands finally fully automated is an amazing feeling, but I was equally jubilant when I used the olive oil to fuel my machines for the first time. I see here that it runs the machine at 7 times efficiency. 7 times, that's amazing. Charcoal, for example, does 1 times, so I imagine a 1-for-1 ratio. Olive oil is a 7-to-1 ratio. Lightstone, for all the talk about it being wondrous or whatever, is only a 2-to-1 ratio, which I found a little bit strange. But no matter, I can grow mass amounts of olives, so we're gonna be fine. It's going into all my machines from now on, and I also start the cooking process, and I'm making banana bread with 1 fireplace and pumpkin pies with the other one, which makes me insanely happy. A quick side note actually, it hasn't rained in my game for ages. I know this because rain is what causes resources like trees to regrow. Look how barren the island looks because of me. No matter, I have food and I toss them on my hotbar. Pumpkin pies and banana bread. The pies are going to be my instant heal thing, and the bread to apply an additional healing dot on me. I make landfall on a random island, and it looks like another resource thing, a metal workshop. I buy the place and it's a metal refinery. From the looks of this, it will slowly keep adding metal scrap parts into my storage, which I will be able to access at home. I make a quick detour and I slap olive oil in that huge quarry thing down below, and over time it's going to bring me up a random assortment of metals and stones, it seems. It's a few moments later, it's still on the same fuel bottle and I can see it's already doing some work for me. I'm sailing around for a little bit and I find the wrecked helmet, which when worn will help me with that aforementioned action. I'm heading to Tarragon town with something in the back of my mind. I want to upgrade all these towns and their merchants and find one which I want to barter with. There are a few resource island things, one for metal, one for stone and one for wood, and they're going to cost a fair bit of money, so I need to figure out what I want to sell. Flowers are a stable source of income, lavenders, roses and marigolds, and they're quite easy to grow. Not a huge profit, but it's steady money. Even upgrading these towns has a decent monetary compensation. I get 300 from Tarragon right now and the town is all maxed out. I can now teleport from Tarragon to Bridgewater, which is actually quite nice. I'm also going to upgrade Shavar, but I have a quick look at the wares. I could even sell cotton. I am getting quite a few seeds of these, 3 gold for each seed. Wheat is a decent ratio as well, but I find that wheat I need it for all of my cooking. It's a fairly important resource, and the cotton as well actually. Bananas for the same reason. It sells okay, but I do need them for my cooking. I'm pondering this while I upgrade Shavar to level 2 and I make 150 gold. Shortly later I also upgraded to level 3 and I made 500 gold on this occasion. That's actually quite a lot. The stocks of these fellas have not expanded, so this is what I have to choose from. I have at least a few choices and my travel won't be so bothersome between these main towns now. I enchant my scythe with Harvester. It cost me 300 void essence, but in the pursuit of money it is well worth it. It has a 25% chance to double the harvest. So here I am scything up all my marigolds, one of those flower types. It grows fast and it sells for 1 gold each, and after this lot has been scythed up I have well over 300 and pretty much the same amount of seeds. Just across this little forest I can sell all of this to Steph here. Later on in my playthrough I will discover I could sell the surplus seeds as well, for 1 gold each actually, and doing fields of flower I get plenty of the flora and plenty of the seeds back with all my skills. I'm not really in a hurry to get those resource islands, so a steady source of income is probably going to be my strategy for now. Now I'm standing here at nighttime at my metal refinery. I want to upgrade this place, but I'm worried slightly because there's voidlings stalking about. I upgrade the place to level 2 and this also comes with a ballista which starts to shoot at the surrounding fellas. I mean, the tower is doing a fine enough job, but this starts to make me wonder. I start to chuck a few more towers around the place. I had to get more resources and I made a quick pit stop here and I see this thing is chugging along quite nicely. A short time later I have 4 towers here to protect this metal refinery and I have upgraded this thing to its maximum by this point. I believe it cost me 1000 gold and it can now make me both the metal scraps and the metal parts. These get automatically stored into my metal chest because it also acts like a void chest. I make my very own portal here so I can come here if I need to. Afterwards I go and mind my business, reaping the rewards of my labors. I start to look at the enchantments I want for my armor sets. I spotted a harvest moon was incoming tonight. I can tell because the day-night cycle down below has a red thing coming up. As the night draws closer, a huge sandstorm clouds my vision. Now I have this on camera. I made a quick detour back home to show you this, but when a harvest moon rises, all your crops grow really fast. But I also get a warning that my refinery is under attack. From atop my metal place, I watch the battle start small. There's only a few attackers, but those numbers grow by quite a bit and I have to partake. Eventually it gets a bit much and I don't really want to protect my outposts like this, so I run home in the heat of battle and I sleep. Remember, sleeping just goes to the next day. When I return in the morning, the attack is over. What this means now is that I have this factory, yes, but I have to make sure I sleep every single time a harvest moon rocks up, unless I want to stay the entire night to protect this place. I will always choose to be lazy. And a quick side note, when I first discovered these outposts, I read that during the harvest moons, these outposts will get attacked. I guess I just forgot by this point. I have other things I need to think about, like the 31 achievements that are for the game. For now, I'm only going to mention this one, which is to complete all the cursed dungeons. I head to the very first one, just below my home. I curse it for 75 void essence. Some theatrical stuff happens and it starts to storm. I don't actually recall the name of this place, but it's called the Cursed Caves now. It's the same dungeon as before, but it's a little bit more difficult. Sometimes the voidlings have a brazier that heals them and they become harder to vanquish. In future, I will extinguish these flames if I can. One reason you would do this is to get more void essence. These fellas are definitely dropping more of that, and also the loot is a little bit better. I'm outside and I'm looking at my map. Because that first dungeon was just some keystones on land and then this instance itself, all of them have become purple, meaning that this first one is completely done. However, all the other acts required me to do the minor dungeons before the main dungeon. I violently curse this one and I get struck by lightning, which is a good sign. I extinguish this flame that heals all these enemies before I slay them, but discover it sets them all on fire, so I have to take evasive maneuvers for a bit. When I complete this one, I get rewarded with the spiked braces. Looks like additional armor sets are unlocked by cursing everything. However, as expected, I need to do all these minor dungeons as well. So tell me, what are the chances that someone gets hit twice with lightning in their lifetime? It's roughly 1 in 9 million. I'm bad luck apparently. At least I have more chance to harvest extra wood, and my food drains a further 25% less. Yet this hunger thing will come back to haunt me later. I get an additional set of armor from this dungeon, as well as a bonus 70 void essence after going through this place, so yeah, it's a good way to farm void essence. Even when the payments to curse these places goes up to 100. In this one, I had a conundrum. The healing brazier for these fellas was above me on a platform with no way to get it. I simply had to outdamage the healing buff these guys had. As you can see, they are constantly being healed for 8 a tick. Maybe it's time to look at some enchantments for my weapon. Lifesteal and electric are what I'm thinking of. Electric gives 100% electrical chain attack when I land a blow, and lifesteal will heal me for 2% of the damage dealt, and I attack very fast. I can only get one at this time. However, when I upgrade my weapon to the next level, there will be 2 sockets, so I kind of chose to wait until I upgraded my weapon before getting any enchantments at all. So like a lummox, I go forth and finish off all these dungeons I had done before, but of course on the cursed versions. Some of these encounters would have been much easier if I had one of those 2 enchantments, but apparently I like to do things the hard way. However, with strong minor, I will now have an additional 25% chance to double all my ores. This is a huge buff. I've finished all the cursed dungeons to this point. I got the last armor piece with it, and I can see I have 1600 void essence. When I started this little adventure, I had 300, so there you go. This is more than enough to get the void pack, which is the biggest bag in the game. It has inventory slots of 500. That is a big number, and I spent that number right now getting the lifesteal enchantment on my glaive. Afterwards, I go and get some additional leather, and I unlock that void pack, and I am most pleased with it. I needed this one for an achievement, which is now done. But it's time to move on to Act 4, and I need to find the town of Imei. It is marked on my map for me. I see a frozen land up ahead, and I start to take frost damage periodically. I'm also healing because I have a full stomach, and funny enough, this out heals the damage so long as my belly is full. I dress up in my Viking outfit regardless, and even with all that on, I still lose 1 HP every 5 seconds, as opposed to 5. It's the small differences. I make landfall and I go up this path and I enter Imei proper. Allmate here sells the winter fur outfit, but I don't need that now. What I need to do is look at this notice board here. I have not seen bamboo in this game, and apparently I'm going to need it to upgrade this town. I go ahead and activate the next 3 minor dungeons, and I have a quick biff with a pack of wolves. Afterwards, I'm heading towards my first destination. It's on this island, but I see defenses here. I engage this first fella, and it's just this first level guy, but he looks like he has armor plating on, so he's actually much staunchier. Not only that, I'm being shot at by towers from the looks of it. Oh Jesus, I'm being shot at. I take a few bolts to my knee as I quickly grab this tablet up here, and actually I die. I reuse my 1 life thing here because I'm being careless. Yeah, this does not bode well. I try to break through this barrier, and heaps of these things swarm me. I'm even forced to flee a bit because they do a lot of damage. I finally sneak my way into the stronghold labyrinth. I swap my gear back to the night set. It is warmer in here, and it's probably why I took so much damage before. With that being said though, these monsters are significantly significantly stronger than what they were. I take a lot of damage regardless. This little guy has a flame on his head. He's a healer and I have to make sure to kill him first. But to be honest, I'm gonna show you how I'm wailing on this one guy for a few moments. Yeah, that's me trying to take down one fella. I definitely need to upgrade my weapons and such. I locate a cannon and I can use it for my purposes, and this was fun for a little bit, but the voidlings eventually wandered out of range. Now here's a good reason. There's these towers and they're dotted around and they're shooting at me. My weapon and my tool tier is too low to destroy them, which is undeniable proof that I need to upgrade my gear. I slog it through, level up, and I grab this master crafter skill, more stone and wood, but more importantly, I get one extra hotbar slot, which is such a big deal in this game. What also feels good and bad is that I get to the end of this place. It took some time, but I did it, and I grab my loot and I leg it out of here. But I forget something. I forgot to activate the keystone. I am blissfully ignorant as I'm currently fishing up what looks like a squid. And indeed it was. I caught 2 squid on this occasion. I finally realized I didn't activate the keystone. I was thinking I'd just have to run in and it'll all be good, but oh no, I have to redo this entire dungeon again. God damn it. Yeah, no, I take a current and I sail away from my responsibilities. I had a reason, of course. It was to have a careful look at what I need to upgrade my tools and weapons, to the Damascus tier. There are 2 new things. Ink, which may be sorted by the catching of those squids, but I've not seen Damascus steel. I can refine ink from the squids in this refinery, no problem, but to make Damascus steel, I need 5 titanium and 5 Damascus ore? Question mark? Well, if the squids are in the Arctic area, then I believe those ores would be here as well. I start sailing, looking for islands where I can search for that ore. I was actually sailing the edge of the map, to be honest, and I finally find a place all the way up north. I break down the only new rock I can see in this place. It's quite rare, actually. I'm only getting low digits of this stuff every time, and I later discovered that it's called tungsten ore. I am looking for another frozen island, but I find a green island. I finally find bamboo in this place, which is something I need to upgrade the town of Amay. There was also my 8th tablet on this island. Now, I spent quite a bit of time looking for areas where I can mine tungsten. I found very few. There's not a whole lot of cold islands with that ore. Regardless, I smelt up what I have found, and I'm upgrading my glaive right now. What's nice is that the current healing enchantment stays on the weapon, and I can throw another one on top with this upgrade. I choose the electric, which will create chain lightning effects on mobs of enemies that I fight, and this is further going to help my damage output. I also improved my pickaxe because I need a tool to break down those towers, and that dungeon did have those pesky structures. I'm back in the mines later, and here's an example of the chain lightning. It looks like each bounce does 30 damage. That is actually quite a lot. Okay, 30 for the slimes and 10 for the voidlings. Still, that is splash damage. That is a good thing. I am supposed to be saving the world or something, but I find that some areas are just really fun to explore. I decided to explore the entire mines. I find another tablet here. It's number 9, and I have almost deciphered this old ancient language by now. I come across what looks minor cities below as well, and I see a giant slime thing over there. He is a big fella up close, and he likes to smash me high up in the air. I go ahead and beat this giant cube for what seems like a minute. In fact, he loses interest in me, and I simply steal the treasure that he's guarding. It's the slime hammer. However, I don't use it. I continue to bully this thing, and in time, it splits into 4 smaller cubes. Each time I vanquish one of them, they split into smaller cubes, and so on and so forth. And a little while later, I have destroyed every last trace of this giant slime cube. Good stuff. I then find the last rune tablet down here, and that is all of them found. I never really paid that much attention to it in game, but I was able to read all the entrances to the dungeons and such. I find some random bits and pieces down here, like this mahogany chair, and in time, quite a bit of time actually, I had explored all of the mines. I didn't have to do this, I just felt like doing it. Funny enough, I emerged from the nearest cave, and it poops me out on a frozen island I haven't been to yet, so I was able to steal away with a little bit of extra tungsten, while having my ankles ripped off by a good boy doggo, of course. I have 2 skill points to spend, and at this point I have all the ones I want. I just want to start gathering up the rest of them. In the same menu, I find a quest log. This thing has been kinda completed over time without direct effort, but I decided that I would actually like to finish this thing. There's also an items collection tab, all the weapons in the game, and I think this would be tied to an achievement. There's also a tab for armor, which I'm going to see later. The resource outposts are something I'd like like to do as well, and I grabbed the wood one right now. I quickly went back and forth, and I quickly upgraded this thing to its maximum level, so I'm going to have a steady source of wood and hardwood coming in. I'm not going to worry about making towers, because whenever a harvest moon rises, I will simply pass out in my bed. I go to another minor dungeon, the one I didn't go to before, and as I'm breaking an entry, I can see that the shock enchantment doing that little extra work, and this makes it so much easier. Inside, I look at this place, a sprawling network of hives that are being powered by the main hive blocking the keystone. I go ahead and follow these cords while disposing of some voidlings, and I get to the hatcheries powering the main one. Those two enchantments in conjunction, the healing and the electrifier, are really helping me out here. You can see stacks of health coming back to me. I'm assuming it's health restored for all damage, so every single voidling I'm hitting, the more the better actually. With my Damascus pickaxe, I'm also able to destroy these towers. You don't actually need to destroy them, I guess you can just dodge and manage them, but I do see they drop lots of void essence if you do, so it's definitely worth it. I am coming across more of these life potions at this point. They heal me for 120 health, which is actually all of it by the way. It makes me realize I haven't done any alchemy in this game yet, and I did see an achievement for it I think. Anyways, all three power hatcheries have been dealt with, and I'm here dealing with the main mega spawner now. I actually make sure to activate the keystone this time. I was here, that took me 15-ish minutes, and I just decided I might as well do the cursed version while I was in the vicinity. So, you know the drill. I sprinted through this place doing it in record time. The armor reward this time is a paladin chest piece. At first glance, I was really excited about this thing. It had 2 sockets to enchant with, but when I got out of dodge and I had a proper look at it, I was actually a bit disappointed. The armor value is the same as the knight's outfit. Sure, it did have those 2 sockets, but the knight's armor already naturally had plus 5 HP to it and another empty socket. If I was going to enchant my gear, it would be with health and something else, so it really made no difference to me. Sure, I am going to look nicer, but I don't give a crap about the cosmetics of armor. I played a paladin in World of Warcraft for a few years, so personally I guess I wanted something more out of it because of the meaning attached to the title Paladin. Oh well. As I was at the enchanting table, I decided that the second enchantment I want for my gear would be the lightweight one. It reduces the roll cooldown and makes me 3% faster with each item enchanted. Even my shield gets this treatment, and that is 15% extra movement speed and the capability to roll really quickly. Well, there you are, look at me go. I can make an Olympic athlete jealous with these moves. I spent some time looking at the quest log, and I realized that completing a lot of these small things rewards me with something. So I go ahead and sell some blueberries, and I was rewarded with roses. The next step in the farming quest becomes available to me, and I decide that I'm going to be doing these in the background from now on. I already had some of them, but I had to open them for the game to register and say, well done, you have done X thing. It was a lot of experience I was sitting on ready to be collected. Here's the completionist quest. Complete the skill tree, collect all armor sets, find all exotic items. 10,000? Oh my god. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I definitely need that 10,000 gold payment. I also had a look at my map before heading into the next dungeon. I was happy enough to say that I explored the map enough and that I'm gonna be done with that. I go into the Stronghold Crypt next, and this place looks cavernous. But I will be glossing over these dungeons for the most part, unless there's something unique inside. In this case, I had to fight a minor troll with 3 little heal bots, so this was a slogfest. And I simply did the cursed version straight after. I got to fight 2 minor trolls on this occasion, which was quite exciting. In fact, it was so exciting for me that I forgot to activate the cursed keystone, so I got to do it thrice. Any excuse to level, right? I'm 31 by this point. I'm back at the very first dungeon. I forgot to touch that keystone before. I was literally just running through and speed running it. This is how that goes. Well, that didn't go to plan, did it? No, it didn't, but I did get it done, and only the main dungeon is left for Act 4. I head inside, and this isn't a dungeon. It's literally just a boss fight from what I can see, and the perpetrator is a giant spider. Before I engage that broodmother, I equip my healing potions, because I guess that I'm going to need them. The fight begins, and I attack a random sack that's over here. I size up my enemy, Both of us miss our attacks, which bodes well for this fight. We clash for real shortly after. She does big damage, so I will need to be clever about this. I run around looking for an opening. I see that my chain splash damage connects to some spiderling nests on the wall, and when I get my distance, I see that there are in fact a multitude of nests. I pop a green HP potion, which heals me a lot over time, and I get into the biff. She's down maybe a quarter of health, and I see that little spiderlings join the fight. I'm glad I do splash damage with my weapon, but pretty soon there are lots of spiderlings. I am heavily outnumbered, probably outmuscled as well. Some of these spiders are really big. I am nearly dead, and boom, red potion down my gullet and my health is back up. Now what I should have done in this fight was go for all those nests. There's platforms all over which allows for that, but no, I decide to embrace the meaning of a one-man army. The enemy senses this and she summons reinforcements. Oh yeah, okay, I gotcha. Oh look, the more the merrier, I say. My health enchantment on my weapon is also doing its thing. This is how I manage dozens. Jump in with an attack and get out of dodge before any of them get a hit on me. But have a quick look at the Void Eater's health here. I think she ate a spiderling and she regained some health, so no, I really need to rush her now. So that's what I do, I lock in. Hand on my potion keybinds, ready to heal, and I dive right into the danger. My bravery and stupidity actually pays off. I defeat the Void Eater after maybe 4.5 minutes. I take my prize and I leave. However, again, I'm here. I have to do this fight in the cursed mode as well. Now, she is the armored Void Eater. This time round, before I engage her, I deal with all these nests I can see on the ground, and even those ones that are almost out of my reach up above. This obviously takes much longer. The Void Eater can't get me up here, I just have to deal with the spiderlings when they emerge. But pretty soon, all the nests are dealt with, and it's just me and the broodmother. She still summons a pack of spiders from herself occasionally, but I never get swarmed on this occasion. The fight happens just like last time, it just takes a little bit longer, and eventually I strike the killing blow. The not so great paladin helmet is my reward. But this is my real reward. I spend the last skill points I need to unlock all the abilities, and I get the achievement for it. Let's continue on with some more achievements actually, and I do all the boss fights I've done before, but on the cursed mode now. I am definitely cursed. I get struck by lightning again. What is worse than a void ball? Well, 2 void balls, obviously. I was kind of expecting a rough time, but seeing as this was the first boss fight, I didn't find it too difficult. I do decent damage with each of my swings, and there's 2, so you kind of have to be unfair to one of them and make a choice and down the first victim. That's 1 down and 1 more to go. Honestly, I'm pretty tanky at this point for this fight. I take it with ease actually, and with this victory, I get the achievement to defeat the Void Ball twins. The spiked helmet is my reward. That troll in the dungeon has now become a flaming troll in the dungeon. Nothing too different with this cursed boss fight. He's on fire, and so are all his minions. And I think I got stuck here. I'm not sure, I couldn't see. Oh, I just got absolutely... Did I get stuck somewhere? I don't know, but I got absolutely destroyed there. I made sure to avoid awkward crevices in the floor the second time round, and he is defeated shortly later. I get the Troll Decimator achievement. In this chest, I get the ancient helm from this fight. It looks pretty nice, but that decrease in movement speed is an instant no from me. I'm outside and I'm looking at my map. It seems like I've done all of the cursed dungeons I can at this point. I still have a few weapon types I need to collect, but a lot of these are just upgrading my current ones. There's also still a few armor outfits out there as well. I'm gonna get to them in time. Right now, I get the last resource hub, which is the quarry. I upgrade this thing all the way, and I will passively get stone, coal, limestone, and clay from this thing. I move on to the alchemy in this game. A bit late to the party, to be honest, but here we are. This thing runs on void essence. I need glass for both potions, then either red roses or the slime jelly, and what looks like lightstone dust. I go ahead and make the heal over time potions, and while they're brewing, I look at restocking all of my food supplies. I wish I paid more attention to these in-game quests earlier on, because they're worth quite a bit of experience. Getting that last resource outpost, for example, gave me 2500. I maxed out on level, of course, but that would have definitely helped me level before. I'm teleporting around, and I see that while I've been gone, I had made another 10 potions, so that's another achievement crossed off. I then also upgrade the town of Amay all the way up, so that's all the towns maxed out. With that done and dusted, this merchant has expanded her stock, so I can buy a brazier from her. Eventually, I will have to buy all the decorations in the game, so that's one down for now. Some of those purchases will be weapons and armor, and as you can see, the Damascus katana sells for 2500, which is really expensive. Too expensive. So I go and do some simple farming. I methodically move through all my quest logs and try to cross everything off. I try to upgrade all of my tools and weapons so that the collections thing is done as well. One quest I have was to slay a shark, and the only way I can think of is by using a bow. I do have to chase him down, poor little bugger, and when he's defeated, I go and grab all my spent arrows back. I've also seen some other random animals around. A tiger, a cat, a bear even. There's this bait box, and you're supposed to use it to tame them using the appropriate bait. I don't get into this just yet, but I definitely want to do these quests for the completionist 10,000 gold, because that will be more than enough to buy all those decorations from the merchants. I just have the armor sets and the exotic items I've really got to worry about. That animal tamer thing is another quest. Cat, dog, tiger, wolf, dog, and bear cub. Wait, did I say dog twice? Time passes, and I'm doing bits and pieces, and I discover I can actually stand in one place and I have a radius in which I can sow my fields. At this point, I have more than enough seeds as well as the marigolds to sell, and I'm making plenty of gold. Have a quick gander here. I have currently in this case made 8 of these green health potions, 18 total, right? So keep that in your mind. And here I start on however many red ones this will be. I collect some slimes, a bit of a tedious job, and I slap a fish in this bait box because cats like fish, right? Well, I am chasing this cat around, trying to force him in the direction with no success. Of course, I'm using the wrong type of fish, aren't I? So after I cram the smaller fish in there, the cat takes the bait. I move in and I claim him. I'm pretty sure this cat belongs to someone, but okay, fair enough, I'm absconding with someone's pet. What does this cat do? Exactly the same thing as the dog does, okay? So nothing special. Anyways, I had collected slimes to max out my torch. It goes into a blue fire one now, but I'll be honest, for the rest of my playtime, I wasn't a fan of the blue light. It felt like it illuminated less, but I had to get it anyways for the 100% thing. Backtracking again, remember when I said to keep those brute potions in your mind? Well, I have done the quest for the cooking and following a step-by-step thing. The last quest here is to make 10 more of each potion. All of those I've already made don't count towards this. It only counts the ones I make from this moment. It makes sense, but it still bugs me. Moving on, I continue to upgrade all my weapons and tools to their highest levels. I'm upgrading the basic shield to the Damascus tier, and it's pretty damn good. It increases your base damage and your defense by a huge amount, though I still like the movement speed from the feather shield. I see a unique weapon or tool here, this rake, and I have to harvest a bunch of things. All of them are easy, except mushrooms. Also, this is the blue torch in action. Not my cup of tea. Now, for those mushrooms, I can find them in the caves. Find, not grow or harvest. As you can see, that didn't count towards this number. So I placed down a bunch of crop plots, and here's my planted mushrooms. Do I have to water these? I had to go upstairs to go fill up my watering can, which is a giant stein at this point. I had disappeared for a bit and gotten extra mushrooms to plant, and when I came back, the water had been absorbed. I plant the whole lot and water everything again. I'll mention this one now instead of following it. Every single time I left the mines, the water would get absorbed into the soil, meaning I had to keep watering the same lot for quite a bit before they were finally ripe. We'll touch on it then. But while I wait, I go to town and buy every one of those armor sets I've seen in the past. Some sets only come in 2 pieces. The sellers sometimes only sell 2 at a time, and I have to wait and come back later to see if they've restocked the ones that I'm looking for at that time. This fella was also asking for leather to make this trade, so it took quite a bit. I remembered that I defeated some roly-poly fellas here, but I didn't have the tool required to break this thing open. I do now, and I get the shield as my reward. That marks all exotic items. I just need the armor sets now for that 10,000. There was a tiger nearby, and I discovered that the first rainbow fish I tried for that smaller cat is indeed for this bigger cat. I get him, and this fella is a bit different. I'm gonna shed a light on his ability later. I'm finding all of my armor sets, and I see something at the end, a single item thing, whatever this is. Remember that wrecked item that improved my sailing speed? I find those pieces out in the world. For the chest piece, I had to do something different. I had searched and not found it, obviously, so I had to look it up, and I had to do something first. I had to get this treasure map from Old Boy Jack, who's still here at the dock. I had looked at this guide, but I go ahead and place down this map and can confirm I have come to this specific island. I had to find this starfish here and start hacking the earth, and voila, there is a treasure here. This one was really obscure. I wouldn't have found this one if I hadn't looked it up. Afterwards, I go and do some fishing for a quest line as well, catching a bunch of different fish. As I'm reeling them all in, I get the achievement to catch 100 fish. The anglers are in the mines, so I'm back down here again, and lucky I am, I ran into the bear down here as well, and he's on that list of taming creatures. This bear did not want fish. He denied the blueberries. He scrunched his snozzer up at this precious lightstone. Maybe raw meat. I know bears are omnivores. No? Well, how about this bamboo? I can't see what type of bear you are, but probably not a panda, but bloody hell, I'm trying everything here. Last item on my list, passion fruit. A quick wiki search indicates to me that there is no strong evidence that bears eat passion fruit, but here you are, you can add to that wiki that in Len's Island, this particular specimen does indeed eat passion fruit. He's also a swimming kind of bear. He's floating in the water as I reel in that final squid I needed for that Master Fisher quest. Check out how fast I can sail with the wrecked armor outfit, like a motorboat. Now, this bear refused blueberries before, but here he is collecting them for me. Alright, cheers mate. Over a few hours of gameplay, across a few days I think, I've had to come down and continually water these mushrooms, but I was relieved that they are finally done. I harvest them up and I see that it has indeed worked for that quest at the top right corner. I get the last bananas and I finally unlock this rake. I equip it, and unfortunately, it's the same as a spear. I tried to enchant it, but there are no farming specific things. I was actually hoping this could enhance your farming capabilities, but looks like it's just another spear. Now, looking at my self-sustaining supplies, I have got 19 full heal potions and almost 30 heal over time potions, about 90 banana breads and 90 pumpkin pies. I am more than set for the final dungeon. So how do I know it's the final dungeon? My quest log literally says I need to enter the final dungeon on my home island and activate the keystones there. So I've obviously been avoiding this. But to be fair, this is actually the first time in a game where I've tried to do all of the side quests before finishing the main storyline. I'm looking for a wolf to tame in the cold area. I didn't find him. I also had to look up that second dog. It wasn't. It's a typo. It's actually a red panda. And here I am on Bamboo Island feeding him some bamboo. Back to looking for a wolf. The only wolves I've seen in this game have been on the cold islands, but every single one of them is aggressive, so there's no chance to tame them. I looked up the wolf and discovered it was a tame I could only do at a certain time. So until then, I have to distract myself. I go and buy the second last outfit I need for the armor sets. There is but one item left, and it's a singular item which I get when I complete the game, which I'm gonna go ahead and do right now. I'm where the quest marker is sending me, a portal with all the other pillars lit up with the foes I've already vanquished. The last one, Heart of the Lightstone, needs to be completed. This portal will take me where I need to go. I'm somewhere else, and there's a giant ball of light or something over yonder. This tablet here is locked. There's 3 beams of light from different angles, powering a protective barrier on this thing, I guess. Oh yep, there is 3 areas here with keystones, so okay, yep, it's another dungeon slog. The first one, the stronghold. I need to fight my way through. There are towers that shoot down area damage. When I can, I break them down, and I enjoy some lovely sightseeing over pools of lava. The minor boss for this section has 2 armored trolls, and I defeat them in no time. The next area is the labyrinth. I follow perilous walkways to get to my destination. As I'm fighting these guys in here, I'm noticing that my healing stuff isn't functioning as it's supposed to, like it's less effective in here. My healing over time stuff anyways. But it looks like I have to be out of combat completely for it to work, so okay, fair enough. I hop on this trapdoor. because this idiot on the other side is standing on that sharp side and he's getting lots of arrows shot into him. Have a look at these small walkways. I need to traverse these things with bloody towers firing down upon me. I do have to watch my step, which I don't, and well, I am one roasted boy right now. Anyways, the second keystone is finally activated. The last section is called the Pits of Hell. For a reason, I guess. I'm surrounded completely by lava. These islands have those shock eels, and really, this is a good choice for it. It makes it hard to attack and maneuver around these places. I have a lovely dance-off with about 30 of these guys, chasing me and slowly dealing damage. There are these fire pounders who create lava craters when they hit the ground, so they also like to set me ablaze on occasion. It's really hard to show you properly, but I have this tiger accompanying me at this moment, and he attacks my enemies every so often. Not huge damage, but it's a small hit they can do for you. He does about 28 damage to the enemies per hit. Anyways, I finally get the last keystone. The giant floating ball is exposed now, and an energy source leading to the altar, which turns out to be a message. I can read this language now because I have found all of those tablets. The altar is not what you think. We believed the Lightstone was guiding us to salvation, but we were deceived. All along, it manipulated our hope, tricking us into building its sanctuary and ensuring its protection. If anyone sees this message, know that you are our final hope. You must not fail. Defeat the Lightstone Heart once and for all, or our world will fall into eternal darkness. Shadows cannot exist without light. I activate this thing and the final boss fight commences. Giant light turn wheels start to rotate around this room. Obviously jump over these, I'm sure, or else it will shock me. The heart, as it's called, also shoots lightning balls down at me, so I need to move in to take the offensive. I give it a quick slap and I get out of dodge, but no damage has been done to it. I try again, take some damage myself, and the heart shoots out a lot of energy balls. Every time I attack it, it does a bit of damage back to me, but I'm not doing any damage to it. I get engulfed by a rotating cogwheel, and this thing does 50 damage to me. That is quite a bit. I didn't notice this at the time, but when I attacked it on this occasion, there is a small visual change to the heart, and shortly after, it drops into the earth, and only now I can actually do some damage to this thing. I get maybe 1/10 of its health down before it rises back up, becoming invulnerable again. So this is the initial rotation. Attack him enough to bring down his defenses, stand clear of those static defenses, and go all out when he's sunken down. When he's taken some damage, the heart spits out light balls and they stay around. Light starts to pulsate the ground and I have to jump over these now. When I have a moment, I still have to beat his defense down, and I see that those balls explode after a set time. I continue to do some proper damage at this point. It gets more difficult now. There's 5 pinwheels I have to dodge. He's taking quite a beating now, and the heart starts to send out 2 pulsating light waves. Not only that, it behaves like a giant magnet, drawing me back in, making it harder to dodge and control my movements. The attacks become constant and I'm able to do less damage now. I have stocked up more than enough food and potions, so I had no trouble keeping myself healthy in this fight. And finally, I deliver the final blow to this ball of light. It shatters into dozens of these light stones. In the center, there's this final piece of armor, the Lightstone Crown, and with this item, I get the achievement to unlock every single item in the game. I go to leave this area and I jump into a portal which takes me to the end credits. Just jump into the vortex. I recognize this. Yes, I do. I'm back outside, and this last pillar is a lovely shade of blue, meaning I still need to do this in cursed mode for the quests. Speaking of quests, I have finally done this completionist thing because I got that helmet. I just made 10,000 gold. I am here already, and you just saw me do the normal version. Alright mate, I know I just saw you maybe 5 minutes ago. Don't worry, I'll come and see you again briefly. So yeah, I redid everything and I got myself into a familiar situation. The only difference that I could tell was added health to the Lightstone Heart. No crazy cursed mode attacks or anything. Maybe for future patches, the developers can add additional or different phases with the cursed mode. V-Rising did this with its normal and its brutal difficulty settings. Anyways, in the loading screen, I get the achievement to beat all of the cursed dungeons. I have a single animal left to tame for the in-game quest log, and 8 achievements left for the game. One of them is to upgrade all the weapons in this game to the maximum level, and when I do that I get the achievement for unlocking every single weapon. This tab is looking mighty fine right about now. Now up until this point I've been eating disgusting banana bread and all these foul pumpkin pies. From now on I shall enjoy a diet of raw sardines. More raw sardines, and you guessed it, more raw sardines. I start eating them and I get slightly worried. I need to eat them for an achievement and they will only count when I'm hungry. As you recalled, I have 2 skills. One reduces my hunger by 50% and then another one further reduces it by another 25%. Crap, this is gonna take a while. So why am I bothered? I have to eat 50 of them for an achievement. Well, I best start now. In the meantime, I visit all the shops and I buy every single piece of decoration I can find. Also, the blacksmith in this town doesn't own a bed. He has a couch. I imagine he sleeps upright every single night of his life, which sounds bloody horrible. This fella has a store with a huge selection of decorative items, and I made sure to plunder them all, or I thought. This is why I waited to do that 10,000 gold quest, so that I can afford all of these items. You know what this game really reminds me of? Yeah, this game really does remind me of RuneScape, actually. God, that takes me back to 2004. Oh yep, that was my first ever MMORPG. Nostalgia aside, I find the tab of decorations. I have 42 out of 47, which means I'm missing 5. Probably out in the world map, maybe. That's one thing I can do, but I will still need to waste time getting myself hungry, and I thought I'd like to make myself a proper bedroom. I start making a second floor, get distracted that it's a harvest moon, and I go get myself chased on Tarragon Island, because tonight there's a particular specimen here, a particular wolf, and after dealing with the voidlings and feeding this rare wolfie, I get the last animal, which will in fact be the last in-game quest in this game. I'm still starving myself and I build a smaller 3rd story room, which I make into a cozy bedroom with a proper king-size bed. I add some flora and lighting and hell yeah, this is looking much better. I make a little outdoor dining area and a place to sit and snack from a fruit bowl, a nice carpet with flowers to bring this place to life. I mean, I did just buy all of the decorations, so I'm adding them to my home now of course. I'm adding paintings to the 2nd floor, kind of like a mini museum. And I finally had to look up where some missing things were. The fisherman had a few things for me, and I found out that I missed a single piece from Allmate's shop here in Tarragon, and now he has nothing left to sell, and I have the achievement for all decorations. This place is actually starting to look pretty nice. Moving on, I have to get myself killed by bees for an achievement. They spawn randomly when I chop down a tree and they don't do much damage. There's another one to get unalived by a falling tree, which sounds pretty exciting. I finally succeed, but remember I have one every 40-minute instant revive thing, so sucks to be me, I need to try harder. I go and start playing some blackjack with Lucky Jack, because I have to. Also, my full belly healing kept out healing the damage and I couldn't do it myself, so I started doing this. I get a blackjack, which is when my hand straight away equates to 21 or something, instantly winning this game. This is for one achievement, and now I have to get 10 of these total. I am a hungry, starving man, and in my delusion, I get crushed by a tree, so there's one achievement done. Afterwards, I then went and felt like a loser, losing 500 coins playing blackjack, which is fine. I get a voidling to hurt me some while I was hungry, and at the point of dying and starvation, I go and chop down almost the entire forest on this island. It took way too long to get those bloody bees. Look at that. There you go. There we go. That's the other achievement, to die to bees. 2 achievements left. Eat sardines and get 10 blackjacks. Truth be told, I'm not a huge fan of these types of achievements. Nothing to do with the game and it's based on luck. It took a bloody while. But finally, I see the thing I wanted to see. Now on this game, which is pretty much done, I have these 2 skills that make my food drain much slower. At this rate, it's going to take forever. I go ahead and load up another half-played game of mine, which I played before this one, and before I had taken those annoying skills to reduce my hunger drain. This should be simple, right? Yeah, no. I can't simply buy sardines here, I can only sell them. I have to go fishing for them in this game save world. So that is what I do. I have gathered the fish I needed and jumped back into my main game to actively do a little building and such. As I was scripting my While the Iron's Hot video, I left the other game running in the background to get the hunger I needed. Until finally. Okay. I've just hit the recording here. I've just been doing some decorating and stuff around the house, and while I was scripting my While the Iron's Hot video, I've gone ahead and of course just eaten sardines and everything like that. I believe I need to eat 2 more sardines, so that's 1 sardine, and this should be the one. There you go. Eat 50 raw sardines. I had to use my secondary game to do that achievement quickly because this guy his hunger drops significantly slower. So with that being said, oh, don't draw, oh my god, nearly rolled off the building there. That is all achievements unlocked for Lens Island, 31 out of 31. So there you go, that's Lens Island done. I might go ahead and just do a little bit of extra stuff and things here. I'll show you what I've done in here. So I've put a couple of things around place here. I put like maybe a makeshift little kitchen in this section. Put a candelabra there. I'll show you upstairs because that's really realistically the only place that's changed. I put a couple of these things up here just to make it look nice. And up here is my new bedroom with the new candles and stuff like that. This one looks nice. It's like a warm glow, whereas downstairs these candelabras are a much brighter glow. And just for giggles, I thought about, hey, how about, I got these things here, how would I plant some trees outside of my house and systematically just grow a whole bunch of trees outside of my house? Just, you know, for that extra look and everything like that. I also made that, actually. I was in the process of making, like, you know, dog beds and stuff for my animals, but realistically you only have 1 pet that ever follows you, so it's like, why bother? Come up here, yeah, there you go. So it's a bit of a shady area for animals, and if I want to come out on the deck and everything like that. But yeah, alright, that's 100% of Lens Island. I really enjoyed this game. It has actually become one of my favorite games. I really like this one. Not a very long game though. It realistically, to get 100% takes maybe anywhere between 30 and 50 hours or something like that. It's not an overly long game. But regardless, I absolutely love this game. I loved the building in this one. I could really get into the building with this game. The farming was amazing. I really enjoyed this one. Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed this game. Loved it. That's gonna be it for this one. Hey Musketeer, I see that you're still here. That's awesome, mate. Cheers for checking out my 100% Lens Island video. Do you want more by chance? How about checking out my 100% While the Iron's Hot video, or 100% Potion Permit? I have a very long one as well, 100% of V Rising. Until next time, one for all and all for one. Cheers Musketeers.